agus fáilte go trí seasca den program BBC Alba h-Alba go críosil spórs na ban an Alba. Is mis Iona Ballantyne agus ha mí toirte go bhfuil sean chluicheadair na h-Alba Emma Black ar ascáil rúms in studio. Ar program na héiche nach, bhír mi hínas Emma súil go na Geamaichean Paralimpiach in An Ucràin agus na Spàinn. Bhrinne sin na chluicheadair Boroughmuir Thistle Samantha Duncan, mudriach sí an dochas cúmal óra chur an tadhail An Spàinn. Agus a Kirsty Soutar a Geamaichean mar a h-Bheir Emma ar Geamaichean Paralimpeach Paris and a fichid to here. Emma, welcome back to 360.
Hi, excited to be here.
I know finally we've got you back in season 2 and you are here on International Week, which is great because we've actually got Scotland against Ukraine coming up first. I mean, in terms of Scotland as a whole in this World Cup qualifying, how do you think they're getting on?
I think it's been a great start so far, especially under the new management team. You know, it's about building momentum. It's also about implementing the new coaches' ideas to the players and how they react to the new coaching staff. And it's been so far so good. You know, we've had 3 wins out of 3 so far. We've scored 11 goals with many different goal scorers. And it's also nice to see new players being introduced to the squad.
And I've spoken about it with other guests who've been on the sofa too, just in terms of the importance of actually making this World Cup, making the finals for this World Cup, especially after missing out with the European qualification. I
think it's huge. I think it's vitally important that we qualify for the World Cup. Yeah, there was huge disappointment, of course there was, and now we have the new management. Pedro's come in, you know, he's wanting to play attractive football, he's wanting to play aspiring football, but also be successful at the same time. So it's vitally important that we collect as many points as possible throughout this qualifying campaign and we challenge Spain.
How do you feel like the squad are getting on with Pedro, especially watching their style of play?
I think they've taken to him extremely well, and you can see that due to the previous games against Hungary, the Faroes were creating a lot of opportunities in front of goal, and that is due to Pedro's coaching within the training field, and the girls are taking that into the matches. As I said, we've scored many goals, and there's a real buzz. There's a real happiness about the squad, which is fantastic to see. And it's important, obviously, for keeping that momentum up for Ukraine. What kind of game do you expect from them? I think it'll be extremely physical for me. You know, Ukraine are an experienced team. You know, they've reached the playoffs many times before. However, they've also got a new management that's just came on board. You know, I think the first training session was on Monday only. So that'll be difficult for them. However, the players will be looking to try and impress the new management team. But difficult for Luis, their manager. You know, he's just coming in, just getting to know the girls. However, he's very experienced. You know, he won the treble with Barcelona last season, so they've got a top manager coming in, and they'll be looking to progress also.
In terms of the group, Ukraine have won 1, they've lost 1. They won 4-0 against the Faroe Islands, lost 6-0 against Spain. That's a tough one, which we're still to face Spain. So actually, with Scotland 3 wins from 3, you'd hope that our confidence is up there.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you can see the girls are playing with a smile on their face, and they're really looking forward to Friday's game against Ukraine. You'll be looking to take all 3 points in preparation for the big one against Spain next week.
In terms of the squad, quite a number of changes. Kirsty Smith, Kirsty Hansen and Martha Thomas drop out. In come Lizzie Arnott, Amy Muir, Lana Cleland and Abby Harrison. Obviously injuries cannot be helped, etc. We know that, but how do you feel about this?
It's a loss, of course, because I feel Martha Thomas has been extremely well. You know, she's scored many goals so far in a short period within the squad. However, you have to look at Abigail Harrison. It's great that she's been introduced. You know, she's a second top goal scorer in the championship with Bristol.
We haven't seen her in so long.
No, absolutely not. And then also Lizzie Arnott, I think for me, she started the season extremely well with Rangers. She scored many goals, and she's always a 9 out of 10 for me each game she plays, and it's great to see Amy Muir being introduced. You know, she's a young promising player. She'll gain a lot of experience involved in this camp. And Lana Cleland, you know, Lana's been around the squad for a long time, and she's scored many vital goals also. So it's good to see her back from injury and back into the squad. And also good to see back at Hampden. It's a huge stadium, but it is great to see the team play there, and especially get the fans in too. Oh, it's huge, and it's increasing the visibility of the women's game, isn't it? Especially for our national team players. And for me, to increase participation levels and increase the media coverage and the fans, you've got to have results on the pitch, and so far we're doing that. So it's fantastic that we're getting the people into the stadium, and hopefully we get many fans there on Friday again. Absolutely, well, a huge weekend ahead.
Yep. Ha chluicheadair ball-coise Samantha Duncan a bhí freasaigh an tadhail son Boroughmuir Thistle. Bhrainn sin rí agus fáin amach mar a háise híos agam agus gur son a haichlú chum ma an sùisan-sa.
Joey Fosha gal for ball-coise ha chluicheadair Boroughmuir Thistle Samantha Duncan tollichte go de h-eadar-nàiseanta gona farge.
My family's always been big in football. They love it. My dad in particular. So I think he had kind of wanted to have a son. So that didn't happen for him. So he kind of pushed his daughter in that direction instead. So yeah, I was playing with all the boys in the streets when we were kids. So I think that actually helps develop like a girl when they're younger. I got a trial for a Scottish development thing, but it never really took off for me. So it never really happened. So then I, like teenage years, got to partying and going out a bit. So it kind of stopped for a little while. And then I got back into it in my early 20s, which I'm so grateful for.
Who had an chluicheadair eolas plíseal nu the chudí seachat big an úne howl on the Canada.
Yeah, it was really fun, different. The level of football wasn't quite as good as here, but it was really good for me to still be playing. And they didn't train, or they would train once a week and then have a game, and it was just such a strange concept, because here it's all about training and keeping fit as possible while playing. And yeah, it was just a bit odd. But yeah, like I was saying before, they have pickup soccer all through the night, so you can join from sort of 5 p.m. onwards to midnight is the last game, and you just go down there and sign up, pay like $5 or something, and you can stick around for 1 or 2 games. It's great fun. So that can be a total mix. You don't know if like some ex-pros sometimes turn up and that, and you're just like in awe of these great players.
Nu the h-eadar-nàiseanta galapa, Caisami go Boroughmuir son Geamaichean Cluinnidh, as Joey Kleingen man a clubba for carriage.
So a school friend of mine was playing for Boroughmuir, and that was when they were in Division 2. And she sort of said, "Oh, just come down. Why don't you have a trial?" And I was a bit nervous, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And I was humming and hawing about it. And then I was like, "Oh, what have I got to lose? I may as well go down." Like I've always loved football and everything, so I was like, "Right, I'll see how I go." And obviously, I was massively unfit, and I went along, and I was just like dying from it. But the coach sort of at the time was like, "Yeah, just come back if you want and see how it goes." So kind of the rest is history, they should say.
Hasami an assumed le be a fine the tadhail and t-seusan-sa, agus hai tangalis and taich a hai fine fun skipaike.
I mean, it feels good to score always. Like, it's probably my favorite thing in the world to do when the ball goes in the back of the net, even if it's just a tap in. I'm just like over the moon. But yeah, for a striker, it's like you're only as good as your last game type thing. If you're not scoring consistently, you start to think, "Oh, like, will I ever score again?" type thing. It's really odd. You just got to keep reminding yourself you've done it 100 times. And actually quite often I'll watch like a best goals compilation before my games, like the night before or something. And I'm like, right, try and visualize these. And like sometimes it works. It's weird. My teammates obviously have assisted me for a lot of these goals. It's not just been solo goals. So I've got them to thank as well. But yeah, like I said, I don't think we've played to our best, and I think I've definitely got a lot more to offer, which is also quite a good thing. So I'm just hoping that the goals keep on coming throughout the season, and that's not it.
Hasami dói gyfili mar fforst skippe a ha chod dalú di chéile, agus an skippe an dochas tóca lora bon t-seusan-sa chai.
It really means everything. Like, it's such a good club to be a part of. And like, if you've had a bad day or anything, there's always people you can reach out to and turn to. And yeah, everyone from the coaching staff to, you know, your teammates are just, they're just brilliant. And it's always good to have people to rely on and that you can turn to. And I lost my dad at the start of the year, and it's just having that network is just second to none, really. It's just, it's just amazing. For this season, I think we just want to compete. I mean, last season we were just newly promoted, so we were all kind of like, we'll try and stay up was the main goal, and we actually did a bit better than that. And now it's sort of shifted to, actually, we can compete in this league. There's no teams really that we can't take points off. So now everyone's sort of got that belief, like we can maybe go and hurt a few teams and surprise a few people, which is quite good as well, because there's no immediate pressure on us to like win the league. So hopefully we can shock a few people.
Emma, what a great story of getting back into football, and you can just tell that Samantha loves it.
Absolutely, it's just so refreshing to see that, isn't it? You go from the stages of international players and the pressure that they're under at that level, and then you just listen to Samantha speaking and she just enjoys the game. She loves her teammates, she loves being part of a team, in particular Boroughmuir. I was liking what you were saying off camera about actually you'd be too competitive to go and play football like that. Yeah, I would be at times, yeah, I would find it difficult. Yeah, of course I do love football, but for me I've been so used to just when I'm competing I'm always winning, and if I don't win then it's not good, even at five-a-sides. So it's nice seeing somebody like Samantha and seeing Boroughmuir Thistle, and actually the pressure isn't as intense as, like you say, international level, even in SWPL1, and you can just see how much the team enjoys it too. Absolutely, and especially for Samantha, you know, she touched on how she watches goals back or video clips of goals the night before a game to try and visualise herself in those positions and goal scoring, and it just shows you how much she enjoys the game. And she still does have, obviously, that level of competitiveness that she still wants to continue to strive to score goals and to get her team better up and challenging, and certainly Boroughmuir are doing that. I was going to ask you about watching back compilations of her goals, because did you, when you were playing, did you have any rituals or did you have anything that you would follow the day before, the night before, the morning of, that you always did? No, not really. I mean, I think back, at times on a Saturday I had to make sure, I suppose, I would be in bed for match of the day, you know, and obviously eat the right food the night before, hydrate properly, and then I would eat the same food for a match day, which would just be eggs and toast. So you'd always have eggs and toast? Always eggs and toast. That's what I find interesting, because kind of having spoken to different players around different leagues. I mean, there was a player that was telling me in the Scottish Premiership that they always have meatballs the night before, and they would never change the match day or the pre-match night meal of meatballs. That's just a habit that they cannot break now. That's what's their that's a ritual. For me, I would always try just protein and carbs the night before, and then obviously a Sunday it was the same. And I didn't have anything where I went and watched videos, or I didn't listen to certain genres of music. I just kind of turned up and enjoyed being in the changing room with my teammates. And we did always sit in the same seat when we were in the changing room. We always sat in the same seat, to be fair. But no, it's fantastic. You know, Samantha's doing that. You know, she's striving. She wants to be better. As I mentioned, that's fantastic. Totally. And it was also really interesting hearing what she was saying about playing in Canada. It's a totally different culture. When you hear that, does it make you almost appreciate football here more in a competitive sense? Yeah, I think it's going about the different levels, you know, because Canada, of course, have got a fantastic national team. They've got fantastic national team players that play worldwide at the top level. So it depends on what level you're going to in that country, isn't it? And Samantha's touched on that she obviously gained a lot of life experience from it, and then it gave her that hunger to come back to Scotland to continue playing. And pick up soccer too, sounds great. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? What was it, 5 till midnight? Turn up, play when you want, anyone Yeah,
I was going to be there.
It's fantastic. Just put your $5 and that's you. I mean, for back home here, when we play five-a-sides, we're more than $5 for 1 hour, and then you've got to go home. Whereas you could be there to midnight in Canada.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to hear, and also just interesting seeing how what other countries do. Is that something that you would encourage people if they do get the opportunity to play abroad or to play somewhere else? You would encourage?
I think if it's the right move for that individual, you know, it depends on, as I've mentioned, what level you're going to, and of course there's many different scholarships that are available that obviously coincide with football and academical studies, which is fantastic. It's a bit of both balance, and then you've got the professional side of it, which is just solely football. So I would encourage individuals to go overseas if it fits their needs.
Because then you see the likes of Christy Grimshaw coming back. She was away in America playing with AC Milan, and actually now she's in the national squad. So it's...
Yeah, it coincide. Claire Ramsey's the same. You know, she left Hibernian to go to America, to go to Florida on a scholarship, and then she managed to then get a pro deal and come back, and she's doing fantastically well also in the national team.
It's great to see, and just interesting to see players go away and come back, and here they are. Now, in terms of SWPL2, especially SWPL1, we do have the Player of the Month awards for October. So know that we have to congratulate Rachel McLaughlin with Rangers, who's won SWPL1 Player of the Month, and Cara Henderson of Glasgow Women, who took the SWPL2 award.
Yeah, and I think Rachel's had a fantastic season so far, and she's been merited with that, with her starting in the national team, and I'm sure we'll see her playing Friday night. She's had a fantastic season for Rangers, especially going to Rangers last season. You know, it was a bit of up and down coming from Glasgow City to Rangers, and then she's certainly found her feet. You know, she's cemented her place at right back, and as I said, she's now in the national team. And Cara Henderson's a young prospect that I actually do recall from when she was at Celtic youth team, and she's a very good player also. Congratulations to them.
Great, absolutely. Thank you very much. Hashin dochas gyfel rwyt ac yn brosachol mynd y hwla ar y jacin y sio ar 3 siasged. A chan a sgioch gwysorych che cwch doch. Sio sgioch spores y Paralimpeach Kirsty Soutar.
A fooling the cerebral palsy fat the Bheir, who Geamaichean Paralimpeach Kirsty Soutar a heat blasset Jenna Spars club throw, who the horsey at club Geamaichean Red Star.
One of us joined, I was in January, you know, winter, raining, snowing, blah blah blah. So I was in the hall, and then this random coach came up to me and said, what's your name and do you have cerebral palsy? And I was like, that's a bit rude. And he's like, no, I'm sorry, my name's like his name. And then he was like, my son's got cerebral palsy and he does this thing called club throw. What on earth is club throw? So he explained, it's like a big javelin thing and you throw it behind you. And I was like, this man's crazy, and he gets message. So he was like, do you want to give it a go? Because in the sports hall they were doing things like standing up on, I don't know, doing things I couldn't do. And I was like, okay, I give it a go then. So he took me outside and got me to throw this club. So yeah, that's where it all started.
Get the Geamaichean Paralimpeach Spars the Doshach. Ha adhart Kirsty inis is a driach mar Geamaichean club throw. Agus a stewige curugangers on a bhí mar farse Academy Geamaichean Paralimpeach Breatainn. Báiche gyfili na sarpasiche na bhaie smúnjan.
Well, at the very beginning, to be honest with you, I thought it was a really random sport that nobody knew about, including me. And to be honest, I thought my coach was winding me up about this sport, but apparently more like people didn't know about it down south. So I done some competitions and I thought, this is quite good actually, brilliant. And then one night about 11 o'clock at night, I nearly missed a Facebook message. Like I nearly just deleted it. I thought it was spam, and it wasn't. It was British Athletics letting me know that I got into the academy. So I was like, okay. So I was loving it before. Then my coach began measuring like my distances, and then, to be honest, I know that is not good, but I got a bit obsessed with the measurements and how far it would go. So I was throwing at the time 12-13, what was good at the time, but I needed to get higher and do more. And then I didn't think I was competitive. But when you come into like a sport with other disabled people round about your own disabilities, you're like, if you see somebody doing something, you're like, right, I need to, do what they're doing, and I need to be better than them. Because in sports, you get different classifications in sports, and you compete against the classifications that other people are with you. So if you let them win, they're gonna have, opportunity to go to Paris, to go to Tokyo, to go to London. So if they get to go, then you're not going. So you need to be competitive. You need to be on your game. You need to be ready. You just need to be one step in front of them.
Ha Breatainn Kirsty in Sasgamore an the spars Kucha. Hanya Kuchiki persanta eich gesami a close an estabi pielagab to Queen's Park. Agus amad alles na doctor san estabi pielahern Colony Glasgow City.
My mum's the doctor for Glasgow City Women's, and that's been fantastic because I've got to go to the games, and the team know me as well. So I've been meeting the team and I look up to them, especially like Joe and all that, because they're so big in the football world, and some of them go abroad and play internationally. So they're great, and they seem quite normal as well. So I love going to the games, and at this time at the end, they come along and they ask me how my sport is and stuff like that. And then sometimes I get training techniques from them, obviously not about the throwing, but about warm-ups and stuff. Sammy's amazing because he brings me to training Monday and Wednesdays, comes in and gets me, helps me get dressed if I'm not dressed. Mostly Sammy's job is I've got organisational problems, so she helps me to do my timetable, my diaries, mixing them on time, support network, so she encourages me to this brilliant. It's really interesting because she trains 3 nights a week, so I find it she has to go to training, and sometimes the times are a bit random, but she always comes to work the next morning, and it's really good because, to be honest, that's what made me want to go into sport as well, because Sammy was doing sport, so I was like, oh, let's try this. And I tried to go and look for the disabled football team, but I decided that wasn't for me, so yeah.
Inis h-eadar-nàiseanta an Alba agus adhart a rioch Geamaichean an the club through at Luchars as Kirsty coach of John Owens.
So John randomly popped up just before COVID, or a year before COVID. Unfortunately, as I said, one of the coaches passed away, which was awful. But then John Owens came, and I don't know where he came from, he wasn't there, and then he was there. It was he just came out of the ground. But it's been so good because we've got clubs to racing bikes, running bikes and other sports, and they used to be like dotted around and we weren't like really together, but since John has came, like everyone's beginning to know each other and he's really good, he's really supportive. He helps when I'm stuck, he helps me when I got upset. He, like, if something's not right with like a competition with like the sticks or with like the pole or the throwing circle, like he says, like he goes over and talks to them, like talks to the officials, and then if I've got a red flag, what is not good, and he thinks it's not fair, like he goes over to talk to them, like it's just fantastic.
Get h-Eadar Kirsty is na Geamaichean Paralimpeach an na Paris an na tadhail fiche sa céad. Has dad vi héna chruitsin go bhfuil choramach go bhí ann.
Sometimes I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, Paris is for like the elite athletes. Then John, my coach, reminds me I am an elite athlete. So I'm like, oh, okay then. So I'm always on my guard. I'm always trying to eat good food. I'm always trying to do my weights. Sometimes John tells me to calm down because sometimes I'm just like too eager to do things. He's like, remember you don't need to rest. I was like, no, we need to do this. So yeah, hopefully I get to Paris. I need to get over a certain number and I've only got a year to do that. So I don't like other people from Red Star are aiming for that as well, like where we are now. So if we get to go, my friends will be going as well, and I'll be going to compete. Because the last time I went to Scotland, I went to Spain and I didn't do too good. So I want to go again and get a good, not even a PB, but just like a really good mark, or like I'll be so good. It's even like so big, I can't even think about it.
Emma, it just makes you smile watching that feature with Kirsty.
Oh, she's so inspiring, isn't she? What I find interesting is at the beginning she didn't want to compete, didn't want to do any sports whatsoever, and here she is now, you know, looking to get a place at the Paralympics. It's just totally fantastic, and all the training that she's having to do, and she's eating the right food, she wants to get stronger, she wants to get better, and it certainly is inspiring.
And you can just see the joy that sport brings her too, can't you?
Yeah, and she is an elite athlete. As John says to her, she is an elite athlete in her field, of course she is, and yeah, it brings her happiness, doesn't it? It gives her a purpose to go out and compete and better herself.
And he's telling her to calm down because she's so committed.
Yeah, she is, and as she says, she's only got a year to get that measurement in place, and I certainly hope she does.
And it was so nice as well seeing the connection with Kirsty's mum, the Glasgow City medic, and then actually having that kind of relationship with the players too, getting advice from them, having those conversations, that was so lovely to hear.
Yeah, and that experience and conversations that she'll have with the likes of Joe Love, Leanne Ross, Hayley Lauder, that's invaluable for her. And not just that, our friend Sammy, who helps her, you know, helps her prepare obviously her training schedule, what she needs to do, helps her get dressed, but that's fantastic. She's got some great support network round about her, and I certainly hope that she strives to be there.
I was just going to say a big shout out to Sammy too, because it's so nice seeing her help Kirsty and being on that journey with her. I mean, you just hope that the two of them and John kind of go on and especially make it to Paris.
Yeah, fingers crossed. She's got a year to do it, and the way she's speaking, she's so committed, she's so driven, so it looks to me like she will get there.
And then you also see the likes of an organisation like Red Star Athletics. They are invaluable, the inclusivity in sport, and actually just being an organisation there to give anyone an opportunity too.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult. I think anyone with disabilities may feel that they don't have an opportunity or not being given the opportunity, whereas now it's everything's slowly changing, and people like them they are getting opportunities, and they are getting to strive to be better. They are getting to compete in big competitions, and it's fantastic to see.
It is so amazing to see. It's really inspirational and also just joyous, because Kirsty put a smile on all of our faces, and we really hope that Paris that she'll be there. But if we just move back onto Scotland and the World Cup qualifiers coming up, after Ukraine we then face Spain. That will be a tough test, won't it?
Yeah, I think the players and the squad is under no illusion how difficult it's going to be, and I think that's how it's vitally important that on Friday we collect all 3 points and we go into the Spain game next week, 4 wins out of 4, and it put pressure on Spain also to say, we're here, we've won 4 of our games so far, and then certainly go into that game and there's no pressure. Of course Spain go into the games as favourites, we certainly know that. I think I checked back on the results, I don't think Spain's lost a game since they played the USA in the She Believes final, which was back in 2020, so of course they're absolutely flying for me. Spain, they're a team that seems to have progressed really quickly over a short period of time, and yeah, we're under no illusions. It's going to be a difficult game next week.
Knowing their form and knowing what they're capable of, how do you think Scotland should approach this match?
I think with caution. I'm not sure, however, if they will go down that line, especially with how Pedro likes to play. His style of play is attacking, it's possession based. He's coming up obviously against Spain, that's their style of play also. So for me, I think they've got to be a little bit cautious, they've got to be more defensively structured, they've maybe got to play slightly deeper than what they have done in the previous games, and then try and play the counter-attack against them.
And anything could happen. Could it happen? Could Scotland get a result?
Yeah, it's possible. In football, anything is absolutely possible. And I think the players, as a player, a previous player, or players right now, you've got to go into any game that you compete believing that you're going to win, and the players will certainly be doing that.
Is that what you think their mindset will be?
Yeah, you've got to. I don't think you can't go in. We've got top players that are playing all around the world, and for me, they are growing in confidence also, so they will be full of confidence going into the Spain game also.
And seeing them under Pedro, this kind of a new era of Scotland, do you think the World Cup's doable? Yeah, I believe so, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Emma, for joining us again this week. It was great to have you back on.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, sin airson an nach, Jan Cín seach go bhfuil sibh lenta BBC Alba ar YouTube, is an a hula fis mu trí sgioba. Cluinnidh ag dearbhaidh ag Alba in An Ucràin, Geamaichean ag Camden, a h-eadar beo ar BBC Alba. Na cheachcin bhí seán chluicheadair Glasgow City agus Alba Sùsan-sa call-a-room sin studio agus bís na chluicheadair trí cuairscéireanach cúchba líg an SWPL at their Glasgow City agus Celtic. Hí sin sibh na cheachcin.